on to our last speaker, Si Mohammed bin Hima from Sidi Mohammed bin Abdullah University of Fes.
Okay, so good morning everyone. I hope you are doing great. My name is Mohammed bin Hima. I am a fourth-year doctoral researcher in the Discourse, Creativity and Society Laboratory that is affiliated with Sidi Mohammed bin Abdullah University, and my supervisor is Dr. Yusuf bin Abdullah. Today I'm going to present a research project that has been selected by the Development Model Council led by Dr. Chouaib bin Moussa, and it was presented in the Conference of University Presidents in June 2020. So, as you can see from the title, my research topic is about archaisms and other lexical features in the unofficial legal translation of the Moroccan Penal, Civil and Commercial Code from Arabic into English. These three key legal texts have never been translated before into English, so I tried to translate them following unofficial legal translation. So, the outline, briefly, I'm going to use the IMRAD method, the Introduction, Review, Literature, Methodology, Results, and Discussion. For the introduction, as you know, legal translation is a field, we can say, within applied linguistics that studies the problems involved in rendering the source language text into another equivalent target language text following some legal genres. So for previous studies, so I have a few studies that have investigated this issue. I have mainly Farhati 2015, 2016. She is an Egyptian scholar based in UK. So for the gap, the research gap, in fact, there is not only a research gap, but also there is, in fact, translation gap that is manifested in the lack of translation of this legal text. And you know, just recently, one of the guys who trained the tram was sentenced to like 10 years of prison, not jail, because there is this difference. And this appears the importance, that is the crucial importance of this study, especially in the future, especially in modernizing the legal system and accepting more tourists to Morocco. Therefore, it is the aim of the current study to investigate these archaic terms, because if you observe some legal texts, you can see some Shakespearean old language like hereby, whereby, thereafter, hereinafter, etc., etc. And there is a debate led by the plain language movement, which states that whether we should preserve the serenity of legal texts, or we can use plain words that are familiar to everyone, because lack of knowledge of law exempts nobody. All right? For the literature review, as I said, this is the conceptual framework. You can see I divided these approaches into source language approaches and target language approaches. These are just my classifications. You can see that I am not going to delve into this. For structural approach, this is very prominent one led by Catford, Nida, and others. For the target language approach, they focus more on the target language text. They focus on the culture, that is how the text is perceived or received by the target audience. So you can see them here, you can take pictures if you want. I'm going to share with you the presentation. So just to move on, because I want to share with you some interesting findings. So in brief, I investigate the difference between general and specialized translation. I try to investigate these features, lexical features, and other lexical features. Translation techniques, I adopted Venn and Darwin's model, and I touched upon the status of legal translation, which is really neglected in Morocco when we're talking about the introduction of the baccalaureate system next year in some universities. You know, we need lots of materials in this regard. So for the methodology I used, for the research design, I used mixed method research design, departing from a pragmatic stance. I'm talking here about Criswell and Criswell 2017, who mixed both empiricism and interpretivism to provide like a holistic picture of the study. So for the research analysis tools, I used corpus analysis, questionnaires, semi-structured interviews, to collect both quantitative and qualitative data. For the sampling procedures, again, I used multiple types of sampling procedures, both probability and non-probability sampling procedures, especially census for the court-accredited translators. Also, there is this purposive sampling of these three legal texts and the snowball sampling for the interviews. So for the data analysis procedures, I used in fact, I analyzed the data statistically and thematically. Statistically, it was analyzed through AntConc, Spaces version 26, Excel 2013. I include the version following APA style, the 7th edition, and thematically through in vivo version 10. For the sample, as you can see, the corpus, you know how many words we have, like 15,000. So in total, you can see 100, so more or less 179,000 words. So I translated all these words into English. And for the number of articles, you can see there are 2,600 words. Again, the number of pages, there are 70 or 748. Should I use the mic? Or am I clear? It's fine. All right, great. So anyway, for the English corpus, you can see that there is an expansion of the number of words. You can see here this 100,000 words has become like 218,000 words. So there is like people keep accusing Arabic as a tautologic language. You can see when it's translated into English, it has expanded, statistically speaking. That's why I told you yesterday just to believe in science and try not to speak unless you know what you are saying. And you should base your results based on scientific inquiry. The second one is about the number of articles, as I said, so they remain the same. So this is great thing. For this is the English version. Then we have the normalized frequencies. So I used this equation to count the normalized frequencies. So raw frequencies divided by corpus size multiplied by 10,000. So I normalized by 10,000 just to compare between the three texts and how these archaic words occurred in these three legal texts. So moving on to the sample questionnaire, as I said, I used the census, and you can see the number of court-accredited translators. There are just very few people who want to apply for translation jobs. This is what you can find. So there are just 79 total, and these examinations are not published yearly. So there are some, we can say, lobbies who press against publishing these examinations yearly. Okay, just to monopolize the market. Anyway, we have 60 males and we have 19 females, gender approach, and we have, as I said, so I'm going to move on because there are other interesting things to show you. So for the background on information of law stakeholders, so I also use the sociological approach just to see the opinions of law stakeholders, including students and others. So we have 6 males, 6 females. I use the gender approach. So anyway, methodology. So this is in brief, I used the exploratory sequential design, starting from the first phase that was exploratory, because I myself didn't know what I was doing, so I need to study this first. And then I moved to the confirmatory phase, in which I developed a questionnaire, and I developed the interviews based on the results of the qualitative phase, that is the corpus. When I translated the text into English, I started being familiar with this, and I developed the questionnaires. Anyway, so triangulation was used by cross-checking the data for Within in 2015. I am talking here about methodological triangulation because I use different research instruments, and I'm talking also about data triangulation because You have to read there are different types of triangulation by Denzel 2015. So, for the problem and the research questions, so the first thing, the research problem is that there is no translation of the Moroccan legal text, especially at this time, and you can't find translation or talking about the development of tourism and other sectors, education, etc., without having even materials. And then we have, for the purpose statement, the current study aims to investigate archaisms and other lexical features, their translation techniques in the three corpora. And the research questions are as follows. So the first research question is that what are the common archaisms used in the legal text? Is there any statistically significant difference between the distribution of archaisms in the three legal texts? I'm talking about this second research question, more or less the same. And yeah, I investigated what are the other lexical features of the translated corpora, and what are the translation techniques used. So I'm talking about Vilni and Darbinet. And the last question, I think, what are the needs of, okay, so is there any association between some demographic variables of legal translators, those who are more professional than I am, and there's some socio-demographics and the use of some archaic terms, like, all right, so, okay, so I'm going to move. I'm going to move to the results directly. I can share with you the article if you want. So I tried to follow the reliability, etc. for the legal text. I'm sorry because I'm going to show you some results directly. Yeah, okay. Okay, so as you can see, the distribution of archaisms in the three corpora, this box and whisker plots, show that there are some outliers, and so the data is not normally distributed. So we are going to use the non-parametric inferential test that is called the Cross-Cornwallis, and which revealed that there is no statistically significant difference in the distribution of archaisms. As you can see, the p-value is more than 0.05. So we can here fail to reject the null hypothesis that states that there is no statistically significant difference in the distribution of archaisms. Okay, so in fact there is no statistically significant difference. Okay, so for the questionnaire data, as you can see, the majority of translators said that Latin terms are very difficult, followed by technical terms. As you can see, the mean score is very high, and archaic words come in the third position. For the word choice of legal translators, you can see here some words like by which and whereby. The majority of students choose by which instead of whereby, that is the plain language word instead of the archaic word. And with the first of this res judicata, this is Latin term, instead of with the force of the adjective matter. Okay. So for the results, so in brief, Latin terms, technical terms are prominent. Translation techniques are category shifts when we change the category from nouns to verbs when we translate. We have also borrowing, a lot of borrowings, like some words. I'm going to give you some examples, like sursi and sisi. Who can tell me these words? What do they mean? Sursi, we say that in Darija, borrowing. Yeah. What does it mean? Yes? Sursi means sursi. No, sursi means waqt tanfid. Waqt tanfid. In English, I hope I have some time.
You have 2 minutes.
2 minutes,
left.
okay, I'm going to finish now. Parole? Parole, no. Parole when you release someone on the basis of money.
Suspended. Probation, no?
Yeah, probation to some extent, yeah.
Suspended.
Yeah. There is a complex word, it's called stay of execution. Stay? Yeah. Stay? Yeah, exactly. And CZ, what about CZ? CZ means CZ.
Okay, you can.
Yes, just continue.
Yes, CZ means hajz, okay? When you have property and the touches. Anyway, yeah, foreclosure, exactly. So I can share with you this later because I'm short of time. I'm going to just go to the conclusion. So as I said, the current study investigates archaisms among other lexical features. So mostly technical terms are prominent, like felonies, misdemeanors, barter, etc., etc. The study has contributed to shaping future decisions by translating key legal texts, analyzing them. Polysemy and homonymy were two major limitations to me because I used corpus-assisted translation and post-machine-edited translation. Future research should translate other legal texts, especially the Code of Civil Procedures, the Code of Penal Procedures, and other texts that I haven't translated and other researchers haven't translated. It's highly recommended that Moroccan researchers should work on this area. And these are suggestions. You can just have a look at them. Unofficial voluntary translation is important, etc., etc. And these are the references that I have used. And thank you so much for your patience.